Have you ever wondered what goes on inside of the Earth? First, let's have a look at the Earth's layers. Furthest inside, there's the inner core. This is basically a solid ball of iron and nickel. It's extremely hot, almost as hot as the sun. Next is the outer core. It's also made of iron and nickel, but in liquid form. The mantle and then the crust are the two outer layers of the Earth. We live on the crust, and it's also the thinnest layer of the Earth. The mantle, on the other hand, is the thickest. It's so thick that it's actually not one consistent temperature throughout. Near the top, the mantle's temperature reaches the melting point of rock. The section where rock melts is called the asthenosphere. The melting and cooling of rock that takes place inside the asthenosphere is responsible for the movement of Earth's crust. That's right, it moves. As rock heats up and melts, it turns into magma, then rises to the top of the asthenosphere, where it will either cool and sink back down, or erupt onto the surface as lava. The process in the asthenosphere is actually very similar to that of a lava lamp. Inside a lava lamp, there's water and a wax mixture. A light at the bottom heats the wax mixture. It rises to the top of the water, then cools and sinks back down. Sounds familiar, right? Well, today we're going to make our own lava lamp to model the process that takes place in the asthenosphere. All you need for this activity is vegetable oil, water, food coloring, and Alka-Seltzer. I'm using a jar because you can see through it better, but you could also use a water bottle or any other clear container. The first step is to fill the container 1/4 of the way full with water. You could use exact measurements here if you'd like, but estimating works just fine as well. After you pour the water, it's time to pour your vegetable oil. You should fill your container the rest of the way up, leaving just a little bit of room at the top. After you finish pouring, you'll notice there's a lot of bubbles in the mixture. Just let it sit for a few seconds and let those bubbles settle to the bottom. The clearer, the better. The next step is to add in your food coloring. I added about 6 drops, but anywhere from 3 to 6 would work. As you can see, the food coloring drops kind of just sit on top of the water surface for a while, but they'll eventually drop down as you can see here, and it looks very pretty. It takes a while, and you don't actually have to wait for all of them to drop, which is what I'm doing here. The next step is to add in your Alka-Seltzer. I broke my tablet in half, but you could also break it into fourths. You just definitely don't want to use a whole tablet of Alka-Seltzer at one time. So as you could see, the Alka-Seltzer sank straight down through the vegetable oil, and then whenever it hit the water, it began reacting, causing the bubbles to go up through the vegetable oil. They rise to the top, and then they sink back down to the water level. After the Alka-Seltzer is finished reacting, once you let all the bubbles settle back down, you can actually perform this experiment as many times as you'd like. So in this clip, I decided to try it again with just 1/4 of a tablet of Alka-Seltzer, seeing if it would react a little bit better. And as you can see, the Alka-Seltzer kind of went on the side of the jar and then rose up along the side of the vegetable oil layer, which was kind of weird. So in this next clip, I got a little inventive with my experiment. So I actually ended up taking a small piece of Alka-Seltzer and wrapping bread ties around it. I know it sounds crazy, but I wanted to try to keep the Alka-Seltzer just in one spot so you could really see the bubbles coming up to the surface. And in my opinion, I think it worked pretty well. You can really see a lot of well-formed bubbles rise up to the surface and then go back down. And right here I even took out the Alka-Seltzer just so you could see the after effect whenever it's done reacting. It looks really cool, the bubbles resting right on top of the surface before they pop and go back down. Well, I hope you enjoyed my video on how to make a model of the process that takes place in the Earth's asthenosphere. It's very fun and simple enough for you to try at home. Thanks for watching!